Hello and welcome to the next adventure of Arlene's Lace Adventure. Today we are going to talk about a lace that was very popular around the 1800s all the way up through the 20s and 30s. This is called Battenburg lace, and the piece that you see in front of me is actually a piece that was in process of being created when the person either gave up on it or passed away. You can see how the machine-made tape was sewn on to a pattern that was on a piece of fabric. You could purchase these back in the day from the 5 and dime stores, and it was quite easy to do, and it had lots and lots of different kinds of tapes. I can even remember back in the 50s when I was a young child, and you could still get these tapes in the fabric stores, and the patterns even, in patterns from, say, McCall's and Butterick and some of the others. It died out then completely, and you don't see it being made much today. But it is interesting to see how it was constructed. Each of these grapes is actually a buttonhole that was covered in lots and lots of little buttonhole stitches around a circle. And so the circles look like this before they are created, and then the button, they look like this once the buttonholes have been created. Within each of the leaves that you can see here, the person was doing a very interesting little net that looks an awful lot like a bobbin lace net. In this side here, it looks almost like a net type stitch that was used. And then you see here where they were tying pieces together with bars, but they never finished them, which is kind of sad because it would have been a really lovely piece. And then it just gives you an idea of the progression of how it's done. Over on this corner, you can see where they have put the spiders in to hold the various sections of the tape together. Not everyone used machine-made lace. This particular piece is the only piece that I have that was actually bobbin-made tape. That was made, and then the design was created with the bobbin-made tape. It's very delicate. It's made out of cotton, either cotton or linen. Looks like linen thread. And when I got this piece, it was brown. It was dirty. It was ugly. You couldn't tell what it was. It took a lot of washing, a lot of cleaning, but I was very pleased to see when it came out that there is nothing wrong with it. It's only the piece that I have that doesn't have any issues with it. This is an example of a wedding handkerchief. And you see the absolutely beautiful work that goes all the way around the edges. Again, every single one of the tapes that you see in this is machine made. And then they took it and created the design, which was probably a pattern that they acquired from one of the magazines I mentioned earlier. And then they put in the various stitches that are used for the needle laces. And this was quite an elegant piece, and the person who had it probably used it on special occasions. Or maybe it was only once used for the wedding, who knows, but anyway, I love it. This doily of Battenburg lace was made in Colorado. At least that's where I found it, in Canyon City. It had a lot of damage to it, but it was interesting from the standpoint that the center piece of fabric is not in fact linen or cotton. It actually is a piece of probably rayon curtain fabric. It is definitely a machine-made fabric to look like an open work lace. The workmanship on this particular piece is not that spectacular, but it is interesting from the standpoint that it has all of the elements in it that you would normally find in a needle lace of this nature. It has the little circles that look like grapes here. It's got the little spiders. It's got the little stem here that looks like a leaf. It's got the buttonhole stitch in here. Then it's got here where they've taken threads and they've bound them together to make little spiders. It's got this nice little woven fan shape here. And I just kind of like it, and I think one day I'll get around to fixing it, hopefully. It did block up quite nicely. I was surprised at that. This Battenberg doily is very, very sturdy. It was made with machine-made net for the background, and then they took a basic tape and actually stitched it on, and if you look closely, it was put on with little stitches, and on the back you can see, I will turn it over and you can see how they put it together. You can see where the tapes were stitched together with construction stitches along in here. You can see a different kind of tape that was used here to create the leaves. And then they used a simple stitch in here that is a needle lace stitch to fill as a filler. And then you have another tape that was used in here, which is a very small and fine tape to create that design. When we look at the back side of this, you can see how it was stitched to the net. You have all of the handmade stitches all along in here. First I thought it might be machine done, but it's not. It's definitely made by hand, which is kind of pretty and not unusual to have this net. You could put this kind of a doily on a green background or any other color and it would stand out very nicely. So I will turn it over again and you can see it again. This piece of Battenberg looks to be either a insert for a blouse or maybe a cuff. I'm not really sure what it was intended for, because the two pieces could have been separate cuffs that had been stitched together for something else that it was going to be used for and then never done. It is created out of a couple of different kinds of machine-made laces. As we go in here closer, you can see you have this scalloped one here, and then in here you have these straight ones. Again, this one is simple. It has these little grape-like structures here in the center of the daisies, and then you have the little spiders in here, and then here they've got little brides that hold things together with tiny little picots in it, so it makes it look a little bit more delicate than it would have been if it had just been plain. This is a Battenberg collar, and it could have been made as early as the 1800s or more likely into the 20s and 30s or even the early teens. I can remember my grandmother's cousin Irene wearing collars similar to this back in the 50s. She tended to dress very conservatively and more of the old world style because she actually came from Switzerland. And she dressed in simple blacks with these beautiful lace collars on her. In a future video, when I feature my family laces, I will show you one of her collars. This one, anyway, is most intricate, and it is using several different kinds of tapes. As you can see here, one that is a leaf shape like this that looks like it's handmade lace, but isn't. And then you have this very plain tape that is here. This one has had a lot of other extra things added to it, such as these centers, and then this buttonhole scalloped trim all the way around the outside, and it has these intricate knots in between that holds the various tapes together. Definitely a different type of collar, most likely came from Europe, although there's a possibility that it was made here. It's really hard to say. I think it is one beautiful piece that I have in my collection, and it also is almost completely without any damage to it. So somebody took a lot of good care of it. This last piece of Battenberg that I'm going to show you is the reason why tea dyeing antique lace is really a bad idea. As you can see here, the tea acids literally destroyed the fibers, and they broke in places like this. I can repair this lace, but it's going to be very, very difficult due to the fragility of the threads that are currently in the lace. Back in the 70s or so, there was a number of designers who thought that tea dyeing everything to make it look antique would make your place look ever so much more quaint. And because of that, many, many pieces of lace were destroyed. Pieces like this, which were very unique and very, very beautiful to start with. This is an overview of the whole piece. I saved it out from total annihilation just because it is a gorgeous piece of lace, and I would love to fix it whenever I can get to it. However, I will fix it with white thread, and then I will put it through a series of washes to bring it back to its as close to white as possible, because that's what it deserves. These last two pieces of lace I'm showing you come from two dolls that my grandmother gave me that she collected in Europe. Both of these pieces are machine-made tape on machine-made net and were sewn on a machine. This one came from both of these, I believe, came from Belgium. You can see that they took two kinds of net on this one that has this nice little loop on it, and here in the center you have a leaf that was put in to create the leaf in the middle. On this one here, you have two kinds. You have this edge piece here, and then you have this very tiny one that has looks like little buttonhole loops. And then you have this one here, which looks like little leaves. So actually you have three different kinds of tape laces that were used in this little flower. Thank you for watching my video today on the Battenburg laces. I hope you enjoyed them. Please like and subscribe if you do. Have a great day, and see you on the next one.